Okay, everybody, here we go. Welcome, welcome. Happy New Year. Ken Coscia here. I am so thrilled to be here with you and I welcome you to tonight. It's a new year, a new decade, and ideally a new you, a new me, new beginnings for all of us. So I really appreciate you being here. By the fact that you're here tonight live, considering your schedules, and watching the replay says a lot about you. And I want to honor you for that because sometimes it's just not easy. It's just not easy, is it, for us in life? Too many things happen, too many distractions, and it seems to be crazy out there. And then we all know that. So tonight is part of my ongoing support to help you evolve more, to help you grow, to help support that growth, to continually feed, because let's face it, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting the same results. So if you like the results you're getting, keep doing what you're doing, repeat it. If, however, you're not satisfied and you're looking to gain more, that's what we want to address tonight is we need to develop new skills. We need to take new bold steps. And I acknowledge with you, that's not always easy. It's a lot easier for me to suggest it than I realize it is for all of us, including myself, to do sometimes. So most of you watching this, either tonight or on the replay, have been trained in the Silva method. A number of you have the home study. Some of you are brand new, welcome. For those of you who have these, or maybe you're not a Silva method graduate or home study, but you have skills. And these skills, I know like in the Silva method, I've been doing this nearly 50 years. They're powerful, they work, as long as we use them. And sometimes we get distracted by life, we get disappointed, we get discouraged, and you know how that is, and we just feel like, excuse my language, crap. And when that happens, we don't feel like doing anything. So I'm working hard for you to do as much of these as I can for you, be they complimentary like tonight, or the measly $37 we charge usually for the mini workshops that I do online, just to keep feeding your soul, to keep feeding you with that. So just open your mind, open your heart, and we're going to get ready. And I'm going to begin with an exercise. And before I do, quick shout out to Elian Solozano, who is in the house. Elian is a brand new Silva instructor working in New Hampshire. Some of you met her, many of you have met her because she's been helping and assisting in the class. And this would be her first year conducting Silva classes by herself. And again, if you need more information, let me know. I can send you her contact information. So good, nice shout out for her. So to go back to this new year, new decade, new you. Before we move, I had sent you some homework. I hope you had a chance to do it. If not, I remind you to prepare for tonight. And one of the questions I want to ask you is, what holds you back? So for example, my intention in doing workshops, in encouraging you to come back to review the Silva training, in encouraging you to participate in Silva training, or to do something, read a book, is it begins with an intention, correct? For all of us. An intention to do better, an intention to grow, an intention to fit into your skinny jeans, an intention to increase your business by 10%, an intention to have more love in your relationship, or an intention to connect with your children in a more meaningful way, and so on and so on and so forth. We all know. However, in order to do that, we begin with an intention, and then of course we get some skills, we practice, and then it moves into what? A behavior. So we need to change our behaviors. We need to do something different, especially when we want to improve. And that's the challenging part, isn't it? Once we start the new behaviors, if we do it often enough, it becomes a what? A practice. So it becomes a practice, part of what we do daily, part of what we integrate, be it a morning, afternoon, whatever it might be. And then if we do that often enough, because we now know through science, we're developing what? Creating, new neural pathways. And these new neural pathways, once they're created, and they don't happen overnight, you need anywhere from 30 to 90 days, typically, just to be general, before it becomes permanent. So with the practice, the repeated practice, repetition, it becomes a habit. Once it's a habit, and again, a little bit more Time can vary from person to person. It becomes what? Second nature. You don't have to think about it. So some of you who are fairly new to meditation, especially Silva meditation, dynamic meditation, let's face it, at first you're thinking, okay, what do I do? What is it, 3-to-1 method or 5-to-1? Do I turn my eyes up? And we get a little understandably confused. Or I got a busy day, I got to get going, I got to get rolling, got to get the kids to school, because it hasn't become yet second nature. Once it's second nature, it's just part of our routine. It's just what we do. And we work out our schedule. We block out the time. And what we're really aiming for, it just becomes who you are. And that's, as I see it, my mission for you in helping you to take command of your life, to take charge of your life. It's an inside game. Remember that. It's got to come from in here. You can read all the books. You can have all the intellectual discussions. You can know everything you know. Some of you are incredible what you know in your background. But unless you use it, unless it's integrated, unless it's a part of us, unless it's just who you are, nothing really changes or shifts. And I know you know that. So this is, I want to be clear, part of our mission, my intention. So first step, if we look at this idea of what holds you back then. So I want to begin with this before we do the exercise, something to reflect on. And this will help with the exercise. Now I'm noticing as I look at my screen that, because I'm doing this live on the Zoom call, it seems to be reversed. So I'll read it. Analysis paralysis, overthinking it, thinking too much, intellectualizing too much in our head, and being overly critical. So a quick example. When we want to manifest those skinny jeans, wearing them, that 20% increase in our business, that richer, more rewarding relationship, that optimum health and balance in our life. So we do things for that. And one of the most effective, most cost-effective, best thing you can do, I can do, is to incorporate into your life a daily routine of meditation. All the research is there. I'm not going to bore you with everything you probably know already. The challenge is when people go into analysis paralysis, and for example, thinking, am I deep enough? What do I do next? Is it 3-to-1, 5-to-1? Oh my God, why is he saying that? Am I doing it right? Then you're correct, nothing will happen. Because part of what we're doing when we enter our level, as we call it in Silva, and we take those beautiful alpha breaks, you're literally altering your state of consciousness. You are literally not only changing your brainwave state, but you're creating a state of being that where logic, rational mind, objective thinking, critical thinking skills, which by the way are all necessary, but they have no place there. And if you become objective in your thinking, critical in your thinking, it has no place. Save that for your business. Save that for your discussions with people. Save that for your strategizing and planning. But when you're altering your consciousness and creating the state of being in the dynamic meditation that we teach you in Silva, this has no place. It'll bring you right out. It'll get you stuck. That's a biggie. It's the most common I've observed. Those of you who know my story, I've traveled the world. I've worked with a couple 100,000 people live. When I say that, I'm not talking about my online community. I'm not talking about all the videos and people who watch. I'm talking about up close and personal. They're calibrating, working with people, evaluating how you're doing. That's part of why live is so much more effective. This is the next best thing, and this is more for support, let's face it. Next blocker, thing that gets in the way is what ifs? What if it rains? What if it snows? What if it doesn't work? What if I forget? What if my mother doesn't like me? What if they don't like me? Speakers, sometimes new speakers, amateurs make the mistake. What if they don't like what I'm saying? What if I don't look good? And if we pay, whatever we give attention to, we give energy to, and whatever we give energy to will tend to grow and multiply. So we need to manage our inner dialogue. We need to manage those what ifs. And what if you succeed? And what if it's December 31st, 2020, and you're looking back on this new year thinking, oh my God, it's been the best year I've had in the longest time. And you're thinking specifically about your health, your well-being, your relationships, your business, how you feel fulfilled, your state of happiness. Of course, you're not perfect. Nobody is. But we've made progress. So here's a definition. It comes from Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich in his original work. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. By the way, millennials who weren't even alive when these people wrote their books, or when I started Silva, who are now in the industry, even some of the big names who, been 10, 20 years doing this. It's interesting. I hear them almost like it's a bad thing. Oh, it's so 1980s. Sometimes old school is just as good, if not more effective. So at the risk of being too old school or 1980s, success is still really relevant. We all want to achieve more. We all want to be better. We all want to bring our best self with that. Get the idea? So let's do that exercise. And it's very short. I'm going to do as many as I can, at least 3 little short exercises. Obviously, if you're watching the video, you're in a safe place. Make sure you're uninterrupted. Turn off your phone. Stop looking at emails and text. You made an investment to be here. I salute you for that. Be fully present. Get the most out of this. And I hope you've told your family, hey, time out. Genius at work. It's important. Let them know, genius at work. This is time for you. And when you make the time for you, you'll be better with them. You'll be more likely to love them and interact better with them and enjoy them more because you're balanced. So we'll take a deeper look at this. So the exercise, we're just going to go through 3 slow, deep breaths. To respect people who have not been through the Silva training and you have not developed what we call the 3-to-1 method, it's a standard method. I will refer to that. However, you can just follow along with 3 slow, deep breaths and just desire to relax, desire to center yourself, desire to calm yourself. And then what I'll guide you with the deep breaths is I'm going to ask you to turn on your imagination and imagine you're looking back over the year and your best self has emerged and you've improved substantially in so many areas of your life. And I want you to celebrate it. And as if you are there, as if it's happened already, to emote it, to feel like, yay, baby. I know I'm dramatizing it a bit. I recommend you dramatize it because nothing happens unless there's emotion behind it. Nothing happens unless there's emotion as the driving force. So even if you have to dramatize it like me and internalize it, not outwardly dramatize it, but internally, that's what helps it to take place. This is what brings it to life. And this is why the Silva method is still around since 1966, because we're teaching people how to integrate, how to go beyond just motivation and how to make it a real part of you in your life. So that being said, I'm also going to put very, very softly in the background, again, to be more general, to respect people who are here as guests who have not either met me or been through the training. I'm just going to play some really easygoing music that was created for me by some musicians in Switzerland when I first started going there a few decades ago. And it's pretty cool. So please allow your eyelids to close. And with your eyelids closed, nice and easy, just settle back. Be as comfortable as you can with the situation you're in. And if for some reason the music is louder than my voice or too loud, then just kind of wave and I'll take a look. I just want it softly in the background. Okay, good job. Now allow a very slow, deep belly breath. That's it, take your time, nice and easy. Filling your belly, hold it briefly, and then as you exhale, release any tensions and mentally repeat and or visualize, think of the number 3 several times, or just simply desire to release the tensions and relax. Allow another very slow, deep breath. That's it, very good. Hold it briefly. Take your time. Exhale out your mouth. Make some noise, releasing the tensions, and mentally repeat and visualize the number 2 several times. Or just desire to relax mentally, to be fully present tonight, to be fully present in this live event or the replay of the Roadmap to Life Mastery with Ken Coscia as your presenter. Allow another very slow, deep breath. Very good, guys, gals. Hold it briefly. Excellent. While you exhale, release the tensions. Mentally repeat and to visualize the number 1 several times. And desire to center yourself in alpha, as we like to say in the Silva method. Fully present in the moment. How good it feels to progressively relax deeper and deeper. You may now allow yourself to feel some genuine gratitude, feelings of appreciation for the people in your life whom you enjoy, or a smiling face today, a kind gesture that you experienced today from someone. Or perhaps the sun was shining, or it wasn't so cold. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Perhaps you're just appreciative to be here. I'll remain silent momentarily to allow your time. Just feel that. Thank God, thank Source, thank the universe, whatever your spiritual persuasion may be. Take your time. Now, let's begin the what if exercise. What if, imagine, it's December 31, 2021. You're looking back, perhaps doing with me our annual end of the year reflection exercise. And as you reflect back over the year, acknowledge, as if you're there, as if it's happened already, some of the meaningful events where you made progress. Perhaps it was really huge. Perhaps it was slight. Perhaps you took off 5 pounds and maintained, or you were able to fit into your skinny jeans. Or perhaps you found that you and your spouse, you and your significant other, you and your children, you and your coworkers, clients, enjoyed more meaningful interaction, more compassionate interaction. What would that be like? How does this make you feel? As you look back over the year, you find yourself thinking, oh my God, I worried too much. Things weren't as bad as I was concerned for. Your doctor has given you an excellent bill of health. You've made steady progress. You're healing, recovering, making continuing improvement. How does this make you feel? Remember, it's happened already. Imagine as if it's happened already. What will you see? What will you feel? What will you hear? You can include, you took a few strokes off your golf game. Your business improved by 10, 20, 30% or more. Outstanding. Now begin to finish up. And when you're ready, you may open your eyelids. And when you do, be awake, be alert, feeling fantastic, feeling much better than before. You may open your eyelids, be awake, be alert. I see some of you on the screen. I can even look at everybody, but let me just take a quick look, make sure everybody's back. Oh my gosh, there's so many videos. All right, we're back to my view. Wow, you guys rock. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through this. I believe it to be such a intimate experience, to allow somebody to guide you into something that's so important. I appreciate it. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. So think for a moment. How did you feel? Did you feel even a little more relaxed? Did you feel at least a little bit more optimistic, hopeful? Maybe a lot more optimistic. The key is this. One of the obstacles to creating this new state of being, one of the obstacles to manifesting more in our life, one of perhaps the primary reasons why people don't get what they want, even though they think they're doing all the right things, they're using mirror of the mind, they're using all the techniques, etc., is they do it in a state of scarcity, in a state of stress, in a state of distress, in a state of worry, in a state of neediness. And when that happens, the brain takes over and our biology takes over and we go into survival. And when we're in survival, we don't integrate new ideas. When we're in survival, we don't make the shifts we want to make. And you could do mirror the mind 100 times a day, every day. If you're in a state of scarcity, in a state of worry, in a state of neglect, that's going to ruin things. That's going to interfere. That will block it. So a lot of what we do like this, even though the year hasn't finished, when you succeed in creating a sense of hope, a sense of optimism, that fires up the frontal lobes, that fires up the higher thinking functions, that allows creativity and intuition to flow, that allows us to integrate the new ideas. That's when we get cooking. That's when we're really rocking and rolling and we get ideas and inspiration, because we're in that state of being, of hope and gratitude and appreciation. This, if you just take this with you tonight, it will make a substantial difference in all that you do. And I'm not making this up. This isn't my opinion. This is based on what we know in brain scans and fMRIs and studies, that neediness, desperation, the saying, desperate people do desperate things, doesn't work. So that's why, as a quick example, those of you who are starting out as a new coaching practice, or starting out in doing training or certifications or whatever it is that you're doing for that, or maybe you're starting a new business or you're in sales, especially if you're just beginning, starting out, it is vitally important. I encourage you, want you to make sure that you have more than enough money in the bank saved, or that you keep your daytime job and you've got a steady flow of revenue in cash so that you're not worried about paying the bills. Because if your mindset is worried about having enough to pay the bills, worrying, and I know that's important, but if you're preoccupied with that, it'll get in the way, it'll block creativity. And it's like the speaker who's worried about how they look on the stage and what they sound like. It doesn't work. What you should be concerned about is the value you're giving to that group. Are you connecting with the group? Are they taking value from what you're saying? Then the stage fright goes away because then you're involved. It's the same thing in business. You want to put first, how can I add value? How can I help this? Those of you who know my story, that's why even though it's such a powerful program, I admit, what do I know? I'm a 19-year-old starting out in 71. I'm flunking in school. I knew nothing about building a business and marketing and stuff. I mean, I just kind of trusted in the process. And then when I went, and I had people who did all that for me, but then when I went independent in 74, whoa, I nearly went bankrupt a couple of times. And I've always been concerned that if I can't come from my heart, if I'm there in the classroom because I have to be there, then it's time to leave. So I waited tables. I loaded trucks for UPS. I diversified, did other things that wouldn't take me away from my passion, my mission of the Silva method and being a teacher, but that kept me comfortable, kept me knowing I'm paying the bills. You know, this is just something more, something extra. I hope that makes sense. Can you relate? So a lot of what we're doing is creating a state of being and getting into what I like to call a state of grace and ease, a flow, if you will, so that we're navigating life with grace and ease. That's how you take command, and that's how you gain life mastery. So let's take a look at what skills are you going to need for this year, for the decade, or frankly, any time. And I've been working on looking at them in many different ways. Number one skill would be we want to respond rather than react to life. I know you know this, guys, gals. Let me just move something off the screen that's blocking. There you go. And I know you know this, however, life happens. Even the most fortunate of men and women experience the occasional setback. Agreed? Can you relate? Even people, fellow Silva Method grads, they do all the right things. They use all the techniques. They make promises to God. They ask for help. It happens. You know, no one's perfect. I mean, people have asked Silva instructors, how come you got sick? I mean, you teach. Because no one's perfect. We have memories. There's all sorts of factors. It's a very complex thing. We don't know, our complete history, our whole psychological history, how we've been conditioned. So the point is, we want to manage our energy. We want to respond to life, not react. If we're reacting, we're in survival. If we're reacting, we're in primitive brain. If we're reacting, we become like an animal, and then we become preoccupied. It's a scarcity consciousness, and it blocks. Second thing, managing our energy means we want to stay calm. So sometimes things get really difficult and challenging. And excuse my language, but the shit hits the fan, right? Can you relate? What do you do? So you have an option. You can say, oh my God, what are we going to do? We're screwed. The world is coming to an end. We're ready to go into the Third World War. Oh, yeah, ooh, ah. And then you know what? We go into stress, we increase the stress hormones in the body, and instead of responding, we react. And then we block intuition, we block creativity, and we don't get that. So this is why your daily alpha breaks, your daily alpha meditations several times a day are essential. I don't know how you do it without it if you're not already doing this on a daily basis. So, for example, if you know the long relaxation, it's 30 minutes, big sucker, a big relax. It's beautiful exercise. It's good to do periodically. It's 30 minutes. Once you have that established, and we practice it all throughout the Silva 4 days. Remember, I have 4 days to do all these things with you and to build it, and they're long days, as you know, from 8:30 in the morning to 7 at night. But part of what we're doing there to help us respond and take command is to develop a routine and to develop a skill set so that we can do this quicker, easier. And the research shows that even 12, 13 minutes, neurologically speaking, works to maximize the benefits of the meditation. When it's truly, when we're there, when we're in the zone, so to speak, with that. The other thing is, while you're doing this, you want to manage your inner dialogue. So instead of saying, oh my God, just acknowledge, oh my, this is a tough one. This is terrible. This is horrific. Oh my, what just happened? We just had on the news a few things that are kind of scary. but it does us no good to worry about it, and it does us no good to ruminate on it. Note it, acknowledge it, feel what you're feeling, understand what you're feeling, and then remember the cancel, Silva grads? Then it's appropriate, interrupt the pattern so that it doesn't become excessive worry and excessive negativity and excessive, because again, whatever you think, whatever you give attention to, you give energy to, whatever you give energy to will grow and multiply. You got to interrupt that pattern, manage the dialogue, look for a pearl, so to speak, look for a blessing in disguise, look for a way to do that. Another thing is, I want to urge you to, is that regardless of how busy you are, when it's possible, about every 50 minutes to an hour, take a pause. All the research in high performance shows that the brain benefits, optimizes our effectiveness when we give it short pauses. I'm not talking about sleeping for 20 minutes, an hour. It could be as simple as standing up in a little stretch, glass of water, few slow deep breaths, and then go back to work. Makes all the difference. Do that. I hope you're taking notes. You can always go back and review this. I hope you're taking good notes. Another thing to do is what's become known as a transition meditation. What that means is, in the morning, I want you to at least spend 13 to 15 minutes. Alpha, start the day. It's like getting ready to bring out your excellence, your best self for the day. Then at night, to release the stresses, it'll help you sleep better. Same thing, 10, 15 minutes. During the day, though, when you're kind of busy and interacting, meeting after meeting, client after client, activity after activity, in between, whenever possible, before you start the new activity, stop where it's safe and comfortable. Close your eyes and a few slow, deep breaths. You can do 3-to-1 method. Just desire to release the stresses of the day and ask yourself, I want to be fully present. And my intention is, I'm now going to a new meeting. I'm now connecting with a new client. I'm now coming home from work. I want to be fully present with my family, enjoy my children, enjoy my grandchildren. Get the idea? It's a very powerful, short and sweet. It could take you 3 to 5 minutes tops. Could be even shorter to do that. Those little transitions, it's a way to take that pause also, but especially in between activities. Another way to be responsive to life and manage your energy, which is really the skill that's necessary. This one is perhaps number one most important, because people are so overwhelmed today, so distressed, so worried, so preoccupied. They watch too much news, read the newspaper too much. Too many people wake up in the morning, first thing they do, put on the TV, a cup of coffee, not even a good breakfast, no meditation, and they're reading the paper. And then they wonder why they got so much stress. It's very subtle. Even though you think you're handling it, it's very subtle. It's called stuck stress, and it gets lodged in the body, and it shows up in our life in the fascia. The fascia is the connective tissue between the muscles and the bones. And you can have I have a chiropractor, great woman, she does a great job. But you can have all the chiropractic adjustments. If you're not dealing with the stress in the fascia, then it'll just, like a rubber band, pull you back out of balance. And it's a leading cause of back pain. It's a leading cause of neck pains and aches and all those aches and pains that show up when we least expect it, correct? So these transition meditations are a way to deal with that and prevent it. You're being proactive from building up. It's an important skill. Please do that. Another thing to do is block out time. We've all got crazy schedules and there's so many distractions. So look at your calendar and block out time. Make a commitment to, okay, now I'll look at social media, whatever it is, for 10 minutes, 15, 5 minutes. Now I'm going to check emails. So you don't have to constantly be checking emails. Or now I'm going to work on this or work on that. And different projects, when you can block out time, or block out time for your family, or block out time for aspects, it gives you control so that you're not giving the control to people. It's amazing how many people email me, I find later, into the program. I'm into the program, the way I'm going to look at emails and answer, and they have trouble with whatever connecting or something, which is unfortunate. I'm very sorry for that. Thankfully, we've got a replay. However, You want to prioritize and focus. How would you like it if I were on my phone while I'm talking to you, checking, my emails? That wouldn't be very cool. Same thing for yourself. To stay fully present and be at your best, you got to be fully present and focused. So block out that time. And I would like to suggest be more compassionate with people and recognize everybody's got their challenges. Everybody's got something they're dealing with, and you don't know their story. And you don't know why they've got that grimace on their face. Unless if you're a speaker. Speakers have to be very careful when you're in front of people or a client or looking at you at the video. Because someone's like, it may have nothing to do with you or what you're saying because they just had an upsetting experience. They just got a flat tire or got stuck in traffic for a couple of hours. Who knows? You don't know what people are bringing. But too often we play mind reader and we react rather than put ourselves in their place. What must it be like? Now, by the way, that doesn't excuse poor behavior. Some behavior is unacceptable and some behavior want nothing to do. I'm talking about part of what forgiveness is about is recognizing their humanity, recognizing, who they are, what their challenge is, and maybe you can't have anything to do with them or live with them or be with them or work with them because it's getting in the way and sucking the life out of you. You can still be responsive. So we're getting rid of preventing anger or resentments from building up by being more compassionate and recognizing. Can you relate? That makes sense for that. I hope that helps. And I know in some ways I'm preaching to the choir. You guys rock, and I know so many of you were on the call, and you've so often honored me with your participation, and it's very challenging for me because knowing what you know and your background and your skill set, it's like it puts a pressure on me that's kind of cool that I like because I've got to really look at, well, how can I maybe help you to see it differently? Because just because you know something doesn't mean you use it or you've made a shift. I've heard someone I admire, just because it's common sense doesn't mean it's common practice. Think about it. Just because it's common sense doesn't mean it's common practice. And can you relate, fellow Silva grads or people you have tools and skills? And sometimes you say, how come I'm not using what I know? Because you haven't gone through those steps from intention to behavior to practice to habit to who you are to just the way it is for that. So allow a deep breath. Good job, guys. Thank you for listening. Number 2 skill that we need to master our lives, to take command of our lives, to navigate life with more grace and ease and in flow. So if you're a sports enthusiast, and I've had my share of Olympic athletes, I've never had anyone actually participate in the Olympics, but I had them make it to the Olympics on the, the B squad. If the A squad doesn't make it, they go in. And so they talk about being in the zone. Actors, actresses, performers, entertainers talk about hitting all their marks, being there. Psychologists identify it as a flow state, or your best in high performance. It's called your best self has emerged. You elicit your best self in all that you do. All of it means the same thing. And when that happens, you're more creative, you're more intuitive. So in order to accomplish that, you're going to need with you on a permanent basis, number 2, clarity. What do you really want? You're going to need to have, yes, well-defined goals. I want to go beyond goals because, frankly, I don't set goals anymore. I mean, sure, I think of goals, things I want, but I'm more interested in life vision, more interested in my mission. That's what's kept me able to be here. I'm literally the senior most Silva instructor. I'm the lead guy. I'm the guy Jose picked in 1984. And I'm not so special. And I know people who are far smarter than me, much more charismatic as speakers than I am. But I'm consistent and I'm clear and I'm very focused and I'm driven by this life vision, this mission of helping humanity to evolve. Frankly, part of it is I'm concerned When I see the way things are, the way people act and behave, I'm concerned about my grandchildren, my children, and perhaps you are too. So you want to get clear about, yes, your goals. You're going to have daily, weekly, monthly, excuse me, quarterly goals, yearly goals. It helps. What's most important, though, is to have clarity about what you really, really want. And because, your wants change, you could be fickle. Have you noticed? What you think you want. Did you ever go over your goals from 2017 or 2018 or even 19, only to say, oh, I'm glad I didn't get that one. That's not really what I want. That's what I mean by, I don't mean it disrespectfully, fickle, that it changes. You really tend to get what you need, what you're passionate about, what you want, what's in alignment with your values. So let's play a game. How do you know if your goals, what it is you want, are in alignment? And I will ask you, as you guys know, I'm a specialist in something called the Mastery Seminar. I've traveled the world. That's what Jose brought me on. There were 1,000 Silva instructors around the globe. And I was like 20, I don't know, 22, 23 or something like that. I could do the math. And he brought me on board to travel the world. I was like, whoa, why me, babe? I mean, God bless the man and Harry McKnight. They were my mentors. They saw in me things I didn't see and that I didn't have the confidence for. However, so anyway, this program, Mastery, is a 2-day program, as you know. And I ask a lot of questions to play games like this. So just allow a deep breath. And I'm going to ask you a question that may sound negative at first. I invite you, just play with me for 30 seconds. Follow your first impression. I'm going to just double check something for you, how I want to do this for you. Just thinking. Okay, so let's do it this way first, with your eyes open. And then we'll do it eyes closed. Imagine you've been convinced somehow, some way, doesn't matter how, medical science, greatest psychic on the planet, messages from God, an inner voice, something has convinced you that 6 months from today, you are going to be struck dead by lightning. Just with me for 30 seconds or less, imagine that to be correct. What's the first thing you do? If that's true, if that were actually true, what's the first thing you would do? I'm going to guess, 3-finger it. You Silva grads would say, first thing I do, Ken, is I'm going to program that the lightning misses me. Okay, yes, I agree. Other than that, what would you do? Who would you contact? What would you say to them? Would you create a bucket list? Are there things in your life that you've always been meaning to do that you haven't done? And if you follow your first impressions, usually what comes to mind, if you don't overthink it and you're just truly in a flow, follow your first impressions, it helps us to clarify who or what is really important. And my friends, when we focus on who or what is really important to us, that's when the magic happens. That's when it doesn't make us perfect, but that's when we tolerate the inevitable challenges. That's when we get creative and we make it through life's difficulties, right? That happens to all of us. So you want to focus. Another question. Clear your mind. And you can write it down. I see some of your writing. Beautiful. Second question, I'm going to ask you this question. Just reflecting and looking at, I wrote down some notes on my cards, what question I wanted to ask you. They say that one of the greatest fears people have is not having enough. And you heard me say before, if you go into scarcity consciousness and you're worried about paying the bills, that will get in the way. That will tend to block intuitive insights. That will tend to block your creative expression. And that will give you a distorted focus of attention. You'll be focusing on pay the bills, more money, 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 rather than adding the value. So imagine you have won. You ready? $10 million. No question about it. 30 seconds, just imagine this to be true. If indeed you had $10 million to do anything and everything you wanted to do, what would you do? What's the first thing you would do? Question behind this question. Would you continue to work where you're working? Would you continue in your same career? First impression, no thinking, just first impression, yes or no. Would you continue to live where you live? Would you continue to hang out with the people you hang out with? You get the idea? For those of you saying, yes, I'd continue my work, but I'd be more selective, yay. That ideally, hopefully, is indicative that you're on mission, you're on purpose, you're in alignment with your values. If you find yourself saying, I'd be out of there in a heartbeat, then the danger, my friends, is dread. If you go into dread and you dread going to work, you dread doing the same old, you dread doing what you do, for your career, your work, you're not going to grow, you're not going to advance, you're not going to be picked for those special advancements or opportunities or God knows what. Get the idea? It's, again, I've done a lot of research and work for you. When we look at all the research going on psychologically and what they call high performance research, dread is a deterrent. It's an obstacle. And that's why, yes, follow your passion. Yes, follow your heart and learn how to monetize it. People often ask me that. In my early days, people said, how come you charge if this is to help humanity? Well, today, if somebody asks me that question, I don't even answer it because I don't know what I could say. Because let's face it, if you're alive on the planet, you live in the world, regardless of where you live, you need revenue, you need money to pay your taxes, you need money to pay for your car, for your home, for the food to feed yourself, for the clothing on your back, no matter how simply you live, let alone things that you want to do, if you want to be generous to your family or your loved ones and so on with that. So what were the first things that came to mind? So usually if we feel, I got plenty, I don't even need to work anymore, that's when the creativity happens. That's when the magic happens, so to speak, in our fulfillment. So that's when we have that. So what we're looking for these questions is to have a guided life, to be guided, to be divinely guided, to be guided by the universe, to be guided by source. Who am I to say who or what is guiding us? I just believe wholeheartedly that when our values are in alignment with our goals, our behaviors, our actions, then we are guided invariably to be in the right place at the right time more and more often. It's necessary. So let's do a quick little exercise for that with the questions. I asked you these two questions and your eyes are open, following your first impression. Let's just do it in the interest of, see if it's any different with your eyelids closed. So real quick and short. So just allow your eyelids to close, nice and easy. Be comfortable, relax, center yourself. And I just want to look at the exercise I've prepared for you. Okay, now allow a very slow, deep breath. That's it, take your time. Inhaling very slowly. And as you exhale, just release any stresses from your body. Desire to relax and or mentally repeat and visualize the number 3 several times. Allow another deep breath. That's it, very good, hold it briefly. Now as you exhale, relax mentally. Be present in the moment. You may mentally repeat and visualize the number 2 several times. Allow another slow, deep breath. And as you exhale, mentally repeat and visualize the number 1 several times. As you allow desire to attune to this new state of being. Now, you may take a moment to review in your mind some of your experiences with your intuition when you've been on the money. Could be a very small situation. Perhaps you had an impression to call someone and they were so thankful because they were thinking of you, hoping you would call. Perhaps you made a decision to travel a different route, pick a different itinerary in your air travel, and it turned out to be, later you got feedback that it was in your best interest. It could be an idea you had to do something that turned out to be on the money. Just feel it, think about it, review the points. Now, relax, center yourself, and imagine question number 1. Remember to trust your very first impression. Imagine somehow, some way, you have been convinced that you have 6 months to live. For whatever reason, 6 months from today, that's it. You're going to visit your maker. Just for a few moments. If that were true, what's the first thing you would do? First person you'd connect with. First activity or behavior. Place you'd visit. Trust your first impression. Now clear your mind. Remember, just looking for first impressions. You don't want to overthink it. Just looking for first thoughts. Question number 2, imagine you've won a $10 million lottery, or maybe you've inherited it somehow, some way. Whoa. If this is true, what if this were true? Would you stay in your present line of work? Or would you do something different? And if you do something different, what would you do different? Would you stay living where you're living? Yes or no? Would you stay associating with the same people you associate with? Trust your first impressions. Excellent. Now, just you remember these. In a moment, you may open your eyelids. And when you open your eyes, just say to yourself, out in excellent health, I'm feeling much better than before. Yes. Take your time, open your eyelids, feeling much, much better than before. So make a notation on your notes. Did you get the same responses to the questions? Your first, or was it something different? If you truly got something different, I would trust the eyes closed responses before the eyes open. Why? Usually with our eyelids closed and when we're centered like that, we're activating this altered state of consciousness, this intuitive mode, this subjective mode of consciousness. We're accessing the subconscious, and there's a higher degree, a higher probability that we're truly connecting with what's in our heart, what's really important to us. Now, there are other kinds of questions you can ask. These are not the be-all and end-all questions, but you get the idea. Again, forgive me, I'm moving, I know, kind of quick, but I usually have 4 days in the Silva immersion of life and intuition system to do all these wonderful things, and we practice and develop the skills. And then, we go into some of the graduate programs and build even more. So this is meant to be what it sounds like, a map to guide you. And if you've got these skills already, then use them, baby. And if you don't, then, excuse me, let me have a little sip of water. If you don't have these skills, then learn them, develop them, read a book, take a training. I don't know, hire a coach, but do something. So again, we want to create a new you, a new decade, new beginnings, to go beyond, to expand on what we know. Third skill set you'll need to have is a skill set of confidence, or at least, let me explain what I wrote there, or at least the confidence that you can figure it out somehow, some way, that you can figure it out. At least we could say we're talking about changing limiting beliefs. Just note, I know that everybody talks about limiting beliefs. Our beliefs are a product of our upbringing. Our beliefs are a product of our conditioning. Our beliefs are learned by what we read, who we listen to, what we study. Our beliefs are learned by what our parents taught us, the environments, the people we spend time with, and how all of this influences us. All of this, the environment plays a big, major impact on who we are. And I'm not just talking about the air we breathe and the physical environment, but the environment of the people, the places, the conditions that you work under, etc., the colors in your room, in your home, in your office, the car. All of this influences how we think. All of this has an impact on our psyche, which influences. So to change those limiting beliefs, it takes more experience. It takes doing something that maybe you've never done before, so you can say, hey, look at what I just did. I never thought in my wildest imagination I could do that. And when you accomplish that, that becomes a resource state you can draw from. So you can write this down. It's called the confidence, competence, confidence, competence, how's that? Loop. Meaning, when we have at least the confidence that we can figure things out, it gives us the courage to do something different. It gives us the courage to take a step. Some of you have been on, I looked at the list who's registered, some of you have been on my mailing list for many years, 10 years, 15 years, and you have not yet, for whatever reason, had the courage to take the class and take the dive into the live training. That's okay, and it's okay if you never do it. However, I invite you, why is that? What's holding you back? Is it fear of failure? Is it fear, what if it doesn't work? That's why we have a guarantee. Go through the whole thing, start to finish, experience everything, and you'll be thrilled. I don't know what more I could say or do with that. What are some of the things that you really want to do, but you don't do it because, what if I screw up? Because nobody wants to mess up. Nobody wants to be disappointed. Nobody wants to be ridiculed. So sometimes it helps to start small. I know, think big, but sometimes it helps to start small. So when you get some successes, it gives us, and you develop, and you learn a new skill. You take training, you read a book, you hire a coach, you ask for help from a friend. It gives you competence because now you know something more that you didn't know before. And when you apply it and you get results, it gives you more confidence. And that will give you more courage to do what you do. So it's very, very important. Success, again, the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. If you've only made itty bitty progress, let alone big progress, appreciate it. Thank you, God. Thank you, Creator. Thank you, Universe. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, whoever, whatever. Just feel genuine gratitude, whatever your spiritual background, thinking, persuasion might be, is make sure. There's a disease. It's a horrible, horrible disease that too many people suffer from. You may be one of them. I know I have been. And I admit to you, it comes up periodically. It is the disease that causes more businesses to tank. It's a disease that causes more people to lead unfulfilling lives. It's the disease that contributes to people not taking any risk, not doing the very things that would bring them their very best outcomes. You can guess. I've already gave you a hint. Self-doubt. Self-doubt. What is it about that? You know, too often we beat ourselves up. We don't give ourselves permission not to be perfect. That's a skill set. If you follow my Centering for Excellence, the dynamic meditation that I teach you in Mastery or is available in my Trust Your Intuition Academy, it's all about self-forgiveness. That, hey, if you're making the effort and you're doing something, embrace the failure and ask, now what can I learn from this? How can I avoid repeating that? Nobody's perfect. And you hear this all the time. I don't know any big thinker, billionaire, thought leader, spiritual leader who doesn't have their story of chronic, repeated failures in their life. But they asked the question, what can I learn? And they made the changes. And it's a steady progress. So give yourself permission not to be perfect. And the way you can build this is one of the things, those of you, by the way, who've only done the basic lecture series, I invite you, upgrade your skills, and no matter what, come back and review. Because when we had our Renaissance in 2007, and we added new content from Jose's bag of tools that he only did in the graduate advanced programs that he conducted, it's really made a big, big difference in the quality of the program. So in day number 2 of the immersion experience, it's called the resource state. Very simple. It's not completely unique to the Silva method. Let's be fair and transparent about that. What it simply is whenever you're facing a new challenge and you're feeling a little bit of a lack of confidence, or you're worried, can I really do that? Can I figure it out? Hey, it happens. We all go through it. Stop and think about something. It doesn't have to be similar. It could be something similar or anything in your life from a day ago, a week ago, a year, 10 or 20 years, it doesn't matter when, that you had the same feeling and you figured it out. And you found yourself saying, oh, I worry too much about it. And you feel good. That's a resource state, because what it is evidence to support. So you're not just airy-fairy, saying, oh yeah, baby, I can do it, like Nike, just do it. You're feeling hopeful and optimistic because you have actual evidence to support your conviction that, yes, I've been there, done that, in challenges with that. It's one of the things that I appreciate about being in the position that I'm in at this stage of my life, after so many hundreds of classes and experiences with so many people, that I sincerely hope I'm not cocky about it. I know, though, with everything in my heart and being, that if people are there openly and want to be in the class with me, and if they'll listen and participate fully from start to finish, they're going to get results and they're going to make some shifts. Yes, some people, it's dramatic right in the class. Others, it's slow but steady, but you'll have those skills with that. That's what a resource state does to you. You can look back. So if you're about to give a speech, a presentation, a sales pitch, or you're about to talk with a new client, or you're about to have a very delicate conversation with your significant other, children or otherwise, get the idea? Before you do it, close your eyes, few slow deep breaths, and think about a time when you were in a similar situation and you nailed it. You did it. It worked out. And what that does is it fills you full of hope and optimism, and it changes your state of being so that you go into a state I like to call a state of grace. And you go into that new situation feeling confident and hopeful based on past experience, so that you're more likely to what? Allow your best self to emerge. Can you see the value here? Can you? Just nod with me. I can see some of you. I'm not going to dare to look at the whole. I was hoping to do that. I'm going to do that with some smaller groups. I'm thinking about doing some smaller groups where we can do some group coaching and some cool things as I build up my confidence with Zoom. And after the last one, I said, I'm going to invest in this baby. It's not a big deal, but it's an investment, and use it, because somebody wrote to me, a dear graduate, said, oh, Ken, what about the old-fashioned way we used to do? Well, when I did the old-fashioned teleconferences, people complained. I got to pay long-distance charges to call. And then people in other countries, I have people from all over the world who are registered for this, also complained, or they couldn't access. I mean, it's like, come on, give me a break with that. But you don't even need to have Zoom. All you have to do is allow it to be launched. And as long as you're on your own computer and you're not on a community computer, you'll be able to. And you click on the link and we can see each other. Or you can see me better, which is more engaging, I hope, as long as you don't mind how I look or, how my hair is. Notice I'm getting a little bit whiter here. If you look back at some of the earlier pictures, it's only in my 60s. I'm 68 this year. I'm still hanging in there with that. And I'm even thinking of getting rid of this because 95% is all white and with that. But anyway, I'm doing different things to have some fun and to get out of same old, same old. So I've always been clean shaven, by the way, just as an example. This is about you, not me, but hopefully you can relate because I have permission to talk about myself. So I'm not violating your privacy. But doing something that, like, I'm usually a little bit, wearing, what do you call them, business shirts. So I'm being a little more casual. Or I'm wearing this, which I started, I don't remember, 2 years ago. It's funny, I was wearing it, but then whenever I had a class, I'd shave it. And I said, the heck with this. Because you got to be careful about going on autopilot. Autopilot doesn't allow for creativity. Autopilot doesn't allow for intuition. Autopilot is same old, same old. And when you do something, as often as I've done it, I've got to be particularly careful that I don't go on autopilot when I do these programs, that I teach a class, so that, and that's why there's a lot of preparation time to make sure with that. Same thing. So what are some different things you can do to step out of your comfort zone? And if you feel uncomfortable and you feel a little odd, that's a good sign because it shows you're out of your comfort zone. Embrace it and learn from it. You ready for number 4? Have a deep breath. Number 4, we're doing great on time. You guys rock. Thank you. I can feel your energy. It's one of the things good about live. I know many of you are not able to be on the live call, more than 100 and something for that. And that's okay. I understand, especially those of you in other time zones. However, I appreciate your energy and your thoughts because I'm a great believer in the subjective realities of the subtle energies, they're called. I'm a great believer in absent healing and prayer healing and thought healing, but sending good vibes to family members and friends. I know some scientists don't agree with that and may think I'm woo-woo. Well, woo-woo this, baby. And many of you on the call, there's just been too many. It keeps showing up results. And I'm not alone there. Even leading scientists at the Institute of Noetic Sciences have been able to document hundreds of studies where it shows up unexplainable phenomena. Something happened beyond our understanding. And that's why, as you know, in the Silva class, we encourage you to use what you learn to help people, to help your community, to help your family, to help your friends. We're in this together, guys. It makes life so much easier when you have your family behind you and supporting you. So number 4 skill is, can you guess? Intuition. You got to awaken, develop, and learn to trust your intuition. Everybody says, trust your heart, trust your gut. What's in your heart? By the way, when I started in 1971, and some of you on the call started before me, some of you started with me in my early days, some of you, mid-70s. But do you remember in the 70s, we were pioneers. I'm still a pioneer in many ways. And when you mentioned what we were doing, Silva mind control, people, there's a lot of reservation. People didn't greet you with open arms. There was a real factor of readiness. In fact, a lot of our early beginnings, people came just because they were curiosity seekers. But today, it's so well documented, so much research. And it seems like everybody and their mothers is telling us, trust your gut, your intuition. There are leading studies in business schools across the globe are recommending the most important skills to have to succeed in business is being a regular meditator, daily meditator, and 2, using your intuition. And I'm not making this up. Interesting enough, this is where we've been since our earliest beginnings in 1966 for that. And you hear some of the most famous, I'm noticing that a lot of thought leaders, big names, you know who they are. If you go back chronologically, even a year ago, let alone a few years, they never mentioned meditation and they never mentioned intuition because now it's more accepted. It's more open, there's more research. So these guys are very skilled marketers. They are incredible marketing geniuses and they're incredible teachers too, but they know better and they don't take a risk and they only talk about what is going to get general appeal because they're playing, unlike me, they play a numbers game with that. So I noticed they're all bringing it out. How the heck do you trust it? So why is this important? This is, to me, the most important thing we do in Silva. It's a unique contribution because when you've awakened your intuition, you're more likely, and you trust it, you're more likely to what? Lead a guided life, to be divinely inspired, to be guided by the universe, to be in that flow state, to be in the zone, to be guided by God, to be guided by your mother, to be guided by angels, to be guided by spirit. I mean, I hope I didn't leave any of them out, because there's so many beliefs that people have that, how they're guided, and let's respect each other. Who can really say, this is the way it is? But what we can all agree on is something beyond our conscious awareness, something that goes beyond our logic, our reasoning. So let's just talk about that a little bit. I'll keep it the intuition. It's important that we have points of reference. It's important, for example, and again, I know some of you know this, so let's just be reminded, and for those of you who are new with this, we all have intuition. It is a skill that anybody can develop. Anybody can awaken if you're willing to, and you get the right training. However, often, there's a saying, when you're in flow and you're being guided and you make a decision, oh man, it feels right. It feels good. You with me? And you feel like you release the energy. I agree. Look for that inspiration. Excuse me, not to complicate it. However, the fact remains that you might feel yes and release of energy, not because you're truly being guided and inspired, but because you are in familiar territory. You are in a state that you're familiar with. Because by our very nature, biologically, number one, you know this, number one priority is survival. Number two is security. And we are secure in familiar territory, in familiar ground. And that's why it's very difficult to make shifts and changes. Look at this planet. Look at our culture. Look at our politics. Oh my God. Change can be so slow. Everybody knows we need reform and everybody promises it, even in our own lives. I find that even some Silva instructors are resistant to change, and learn. Because it's a pattern of behavior. When the brain takes over, that's what happens. So we feel good because we're in our comfort zone. So yes, and that's what I mean by it's tricky. So how can you get around that? The other thing is, it could be, as you know, wishful thinking. Oh yeah, I grew up with gamblers. Those of you who know my story, boy, I could tell you, I learned so much from these men. These were people who learned by the School of Hard Knocks. No education. It was in Brooklyn, New York. These are people who grew up on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, in the Bowery, that area. If you ever saw the movie The Godfather, that's where my parents and all their family and friends grew up. And I watched these people have huge businesses and lose it all because of wishful thinking. But I also learned watching them as a young kid, as a young boy, in my 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, up until, around until I was in my, 20s, mid-20s, even at Silva. And these guys were always looking for, they were doing risk assessments, looking for the angle, looking for what it's going to take, looking for what's he selling. And I find that it serves me today. It puts me in the position that I'm very good at it. That sometimes in meetings, masterminds, I come across as being negative. And even the way I present, I'm a very conservative presenter. However, in the long run, it's very useful because it's one thing to have an idea. It's another thing to know what's it going to take to get there. And am I willing to do what it's going to take? Am I willing to spend the time, energy, and resources to get there? And sometimes the answer is a flat out no. So you got to make those assessments. So sometimes wishful thinking gets in the way, or fear. So in Silva, we call them points of reference. And points of reference are the question, what's the difference that makes the difference? Excuse me, what's the difference that made the difference when you were accurate and correct, yay, and when you were way off? Get the idea? So you want to examine that, and you want to look at it, embrace the, oh my God, I was really way off. Boy, that was not a good idea. Have you ever had them? I have, more than I want to remember. But I will say this, looking back, I realized I've always come out smelling like a rose because I learned. And sometimes it took a month. Sometimes it took 6 months. Sometimes it took a year or two. But each time, things have gotten progressively better when you learn that. And when you're on mission and you're in alignment with your values and your mission, your purpose in life, then that stuff doesn't matter. You tolerate it and you're always striving to continue. I hope you get the idea and that makes sense. So you compare that. Was it a feeling? Was it a vibration? Was it a thought? Was it a hearing? Did you hear something auditory? And when you were accurate, that's a point of reference. Journal it, write it down. Pay attention, even those simple day-to-day things. I'm starting the new year, and I'm actually leaving for Australia in less than a week. Is it? I got hit the time. Anyway, going soon to do my mastery, and then Barbara and I can make a little vacation of it. And then when I come back, I'll be in Chicago for the immersion experience, somewhere about the middle to the end of February. And then in March, middle to the end, I'll be here in Connecticut doing an immersion of life and intuition. So my point is with that, in looking at this, you want to, I'm thinking of the last class. It was early December here in Connecticut. And many of you are on the call, some of you reviewed that class. Wow. I mean, so many classes like that. However, that was my most recent experience. It's easier to remember. I spoke with a good many, more than half of the group, almost all of them actually. And I heard repeatedly from people about being in a flow and all these meaningful coincidences and all this, not that they're perfect, but truly making progress and getting better and better. So, because I offer to you a bonus coach call, and we spend 30 minutes or more talking, me helping you to put it into place and customize it for yourself. It's part of the added value you get when you take a class with me. It's so important though, because it helps you to develop those points of reference. So pay attention, note them, write them down, journal your experiences when you're off, when you're on. Do both. And then also, especially at level with your eyelids closed, internalize it. And that becomes, during the class, for those of you you've already been through the class, Silva training, what's holding you back? You made a nice investment to be in the class. I will assure you, if you have not reviewed it even a few times, every time you come back, you'll get more out of it. Not just because I'm constantly updating and upgrading, which I do, but because you're different. We tend to focus, whatever our dominant concern is in our life, when it's not handled and we're worried about it, that's our focus of attention. And we tend to hear what we want to hear based on our needs when you're first in that training with me. Once you handle that and you manage it, you got it figured out, you'll hear things entirely different. That's the beauty of it. So that's why we offer you, come back free the rest of your life. You pay a small seat charge, a pittance. So it helps cover the extra costs and it gives you a seat with that. If you haven't, what will it take? Be there. If you are a basic lecture series graduate, we've added about 40% new material in day 3 and 4, and I will share with you. It's about being this guided life. It's about being divinely inspired. It's about upgrading the mind and others. Learn it. And if you're new, of course, I invite you to come on in and be with us. It'll make a world of difference. So for example, in the class, all throughout, from day 1, all throughout the class, we're practicing so that you, as we move, even through the morning of day 1, the afternoon to day 2, you're practicing the guided meditations with me 30% of day 1 and 2, about 30% or more of the time. Day 3 and 4, it's 60% or more. And you're getting feedback, immediate feedback. And I'm there. The groups are up to 30 people, 20, 24 in that ballpark. So you get my undivided attention. You're not lost in the crowd face. And I'm watching, so I can guide you. I can, coach you, whether it be privately or in the group. However, as you get results, it's like, okay, I did relax. Oh, I did make some progress. And then last night, I had the best night's sleep I've had in a long time. Wow, it works. And that boosts your confidence. And now you listen much more openly and you get even more results because you have more courage to listen. And we do that all throughout the class, day 2. Day 3 and 4, we play quite a few games with your intuition. It's called deliberate practice. It's the most effective way to develop. where you get immediate feedback. Not feedback days, weeks, months later, but immediate feedback. So we play games with our intuition. And in the morning of day 3, where you're sitting in front of somebody, you're coming up with ideas about them, and you're giving feedback, yay or nay. And you begin to learn, okay, what's the difference that made the difference? And then the evening of day 3, we do the exercise psychometry, and you hold an object or something in your hand and you feel the vibe and you come up with tangible, concrete information based on who the owner was. It's a pretty cool, challenging exercise. And you get more feedback. And then day 4, we spend 3 hours practicing in breakout sessions. We get feedback. So it's very important, however you do it, whether you do Silva or not, do something. It's important to have that evidence to support your conviction, to know that it's working for you. So let's do another, which I want to do another quick exercise for you, and I'm going to combine 2 because it slipped my mind when we were on number 3 skill set. So I'm going to combine 3 and 4, which is cool. Actually, they relate to each other, so it's maybe there's an unconscious competence on my part. So in this one, let's close again. I'm going to ask you to reflect back on a time in your life, anytime, a week ago, a month ago, when you did something that you felt challenged and you got good results. You made progress and just feel good about it. And I'll guide you. Second, I'll then advance it and ask you to reflect on some intuition, like what we did before. So we kind of did that. I want to do this to set a tone, give you a model of what you can on your own guide you. So let's begin. Please allow your eyelids to close. Nice and easy. Take your time. Allow a very slow, deep breath. Inhale slowly, fill your belly, and hold it briefly. And then as you exhale out your mouth, mentally repeat and to visualize the number 3 several times. Desire to relax physically. Allow another deep breath. Hold it briefly. And as you exhale, mentally repeat and or visualize the number 2 several times. Desire to relax mentally, to be fully present in the moment. Allow one more very slow deep breath. Hold it briefly. And as you exhale, mentally repeat and to visualize the number 1 3 times. How good it feels to progressively relax deeper and deeper. It is a wonderful, healthy state of mind and body. How good it feels. Now, you may now, in your imagination, recall some of your experiences in your life. It could be a week ago, day ago, a month, a year, or 10 years or more, it doesn't matter. Something you felt challenged about. A new endeavor, a new task, a new goal, a new business, a new relationship, a new situation. Something different that you were doing, and you made progress. You succeeded. You nailed it. You did good. What was it like? What were the circumstances? How are you speaking? How are you posturing yourself if you were sitting or standing? How are you moving if you were moving? If you were speaking, how were you speaking? What did you sound like? And how did you feel? Focus on the feelings. Feel good about it. Give gratitude. Be appreciative. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe. Thank you, source, for guiding me to make this change, this progress. This is a resource state. Anytime in the future, if you feel challenged by your confidence, take a few moments to just sit quietly, eyes open or closed, and reflect on some of your past challenges that you managed, handled, and succeeded with. How good it feels. Now allow a deep breath. And the same holds true as a resource state with intuition. You can reflect on some of your successes or a time when you were guided, you felt guided, and you found yourself thinking, whoa, somebody upstairs must be watching out for me. Or you felt blessed and fortunate that you listened to your gut, your first impression. Note it. What's the difference that made the difference? Note it. You will remember this. This is a resource state. You can write it down if new ideas came to mind. And know that when you open your eyelids, you'll feel awake and alert. Tonight, you'll have a healthy night's rest. Tonight, you'll have a good, healthy, normal night's rest. And you'll wake up in the morning feeling better than usual. Take your time opening your eyelids, feeling awake and alert, feeling much, much better than before. Wow. Oh, baby. Welcome back. Good morning, genius. You genius, you. Whew. You know, I know I see some of you. I wish you could be. That's the one thing about these visual, the videos that's always missing is being in your presence and in your energy. So please grace me with your presence. I'll be honored to have you either reviewing, upgrading to the new format, or attending for the first time. It's something well worth it. And just know, we've been here 53 years of Silva Method, and you get me with that constant ongoing support. You can come back to the class. You get available coaching from us free. You get videos. If you are new to Silva especially, I respect your privacy. If you'd like to be on the mailing list for what's going on, and more importantly, I'm doing my best to at least weekly and at least at a minimum twice a month to do video training. I send them out. I put them on the blog page. They're there. And if you go to the Silva Method CT or Google Silva Method of Connecticut, silvamethodct.com, go onto the blog page. They're there. It's free. There's some great, I've got now 5 or 6 pages, something like that, of videos. And if you look at the earlier ones, they're kind of funny. They're kind of funny. They're kind of funny. With that, and look at the newer ones and do that. There'll be a prompt where you can then be asked if you want to receive the mailings, and you can opt into the email list. And if you like, I'd be happy to. You're welcome to. There's no risk. There's no charge. And it's up to you for that. So let me take a quick peek. I hear loud and clear. I'm just looking, checking to make sure in terms of questions. Wow. Someone just said this is private, so I won't mention name. Someone said, I thought about battling cancer and winning and how I got through it. trusted my doctors and let them take me over and relaxed into it. Never doubted them. 8 years, January 28th will be clean. Yay. Thank you. I'm grateful for you. Be grateful to yourself. Be grateful for what you did for yourself. It's you who did it. I'm just a facilitator, a guide, and the tool to just that. So everybody, it's time to say good night for now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the replay. Do go back and watch it again and again. Stay tuned. When I get back, starting in probably March for sure, possibly February, I'll be doing some more master classes for you and get ready to begin a wonderful year. So I appreciate you guys and thank you for your thoughts and the sharing. And until the next time. Hey, Armin, you guys had a meeting tonight. I see some people on the call, and just a quick little shout out, just for the fun of it. I know I'm respecting you can get off if you want, but how do I get people on the manage participants? Gallery view. Let me see if I can see gallery view. Wow, look at people here. Woohoo! Atgan, hey, from all the way from Mongolia. Remember we were together in the Ukraine, and AJ and Armin, who flew in from Africa to be with us, and Stephanie and Z, Mr. Z, and Barbara baby, Barbara Kerr. I don't know if I should, well, your name is their last name. Some of the others, Jim, Jeff, excuse me, Kim and Karen and Candace and Marie and Barbara Dunn. Barbara goes way back with me. James, Romeo, Janet, Barley, and I don't recognize some of the email addresses. Wendy and Kathy and Judy Krugman and Judy Sansweet. Oh, from Australia, New Zealand, and Laura. Oh, pretty picture, Laura. Very nice picture of you, Laura O'Mill. So anyway, I'm not with everybody. And Maria, baby, howdy. B-Joy, baby. I couldn't resist. I wanted to just acknowledge you guys who are here live with us. Those of you watching the replay, I understand. It's not a problem, no worries. So unfortunately, it's time to say good night. I'm going to go be with my wife, Barbara, maybe watch some mindless TV, get a good night's rest, and tomorrow I'll get the replay out and some thank yous too. Just give me some time to do that, folks. Okie dokie. So let's say, in the